Welcome to your online training course, Cold Calling Made Easy. Hi, I'm Mark Beggs, founder of Right Frame Academy and Europe's #1 success coach. This course, Cold Calling, is all about helping you develop your sales potential. Every good salesperson needs to know how to cold call, and yet it's one of the hardest things, most difficult things that salespeople find hard to do. So, why do I know what I'm talking about? Well, very simple. I've been selling since I was 14. My first job was working on the car ferries between Dublin, Holyhead and Dublin and Liverpool. And during those three months every year of the summer, one of the first jobs I had to do was wine waiter on the ships. Now, being a wine waiter, you got tips from serving wine and serving cold drinks and serving beers. However, very quickly I found out that an awful lot of package holiday makers didn't want to buy wine, or didn't want to buy beer. They only wanted to buy exactly what was in the package of the holiday. So they didn't want to spend one penny more. So one day I was sitting there looking at everybody eating their food, and they all had bottles of water that I'd brought to all the table. So I was sweating, running around delivering water to all these tables. And I decided there and then that my time was worth something. And this was in 1979, 1980. I became one of the first people in the world to start charging for bottled water, because I started charging £1 for a jug of water. And it was my way of paying for my time. And it worked. By the end of the summer, I was charging £2 a bottle of water, tap water, to all the American tourists that came on the ships that were coming from Holyhead to Dublin. Since then, I started my own business when I was 22 in London. We had 7 restaurants that we delivered from, to the likes of Mark Thatcher, Mark Knopfler, Twiggy, and other well-known people. When I set up the business in the UK, I had to sell myself. I had to go in cold to restaurateurs and convince them to let me take their food on credit and to give me a discount. Because the whole selling point of my new company in the UK was we would deliver food anywhere in Chelsea and Kensington within 30 minutes at the same price you would pay in the restaurant. So I had to walk in cold to all these restaurants and convince them to let me take their food out that door in a hot box and pay them a week later, and to give me at least 20-25% discount. When we launched the business, we had 11 restaurants. But they were not just 11 restaurants I approached. I'd approached about 60 or 70 or 80 restaurants. So I'm used to cold calling. Then I set up my own bookkeeping company in Dublin with my wife. She was the bookkeeper. She looked after all the accounts. But I went door to door, dry cleaners, pharmacies, local shops, looking for business. And I soon realised every day that the more shops I hit, the more business I could find. But that was pure cold calling. I became managing director through a management buy-in of Indigo. We grew that company from 100,000 up to 40 million within 4 years. I've led a number of management buyouts from advertising agencies and other companies. So I know what I'm talking about. I have a lot of experience in sales. I am an expert in selling. And because of my expertise, I'm going to tell you and show you how to cold call effectively. And at the end of this course, you will be an expert. But don't forget 2 key things for this course. 1, you get 30 minutes free mentoring on the phone with me with this course. So take notes. If you have any questions you want to ask me, start taking the notes, and at the end of this course, you'll be given the phone number and the contact details, how to contact me for your 30 minutes free telephone mentoring. So if you find an area you're not happy about, or something that maybe I didn't explain properly and you want more information about it, when you talk to me, ask the questions. And number 2, don't forget the free download ebook that comes with this course. If you haven't received it yet, just email me at mark@rightframeacademy.com and we'll make sure that you get it as quickly as possible. The key thing about how we've structured this course is very simple. Most of the chapters are about 15-20 minutes long. And the reason they're that tight and they're that compact is that you can play this training course chapter by chapter or individual chapters on your mobile phone, on your iPad, or even sitting in the car before you start cold calling. If you want to look up something, you can just play it, listen to it, and off you go. So this is a step-by-step guide to help you cold call. I have a strategy that has worked for me, and a lot of people have worked for, and a lot of people have trained. This strategy that you're going to learn in this course works. And it works extremely well. It works because I know what I'm talking about. I've sold everything from indoor play centres to holidays, slot machines, internet service providers, advertising cars. You name it, I've sold it. And if I haven't sold it, I can sell it. So make sure you have your notebook out, take notes, get ready for that half-hour call with me, and together we'll make you very, very successful at what you do. From cold calling right up to being a very successful sales rep. Okay, once again, thanks for watching this online training video. And you'll see a link now to chapter 1, and we'll start off showing you and leading you on the path to be fantastic and being an expert at cold calling. Hi, welcome to chapter 1 of Cold Calling Made Easy. My name is Mark Beggs from Right Frame Academy, Europe's #1 success and motivating coach. Right, here's a surprise that most people don't realise. Not everyone wants to buy from you. That's a fact. You need to get that into your head right away. Just because you walk into a building or you walk up to someone and they say no, doesn't mean everybody else won't want to buy from you. But not everyone wants your product. If they did, we'd be all multi-millionaires. Everyone in the world will be looking at this video because everyone will want to buy it. But that's not the reality of the situation. And you need to soak that in, because that's one of the things that puts people off cold calling. They go to a door and the first person says no. And they go to a door and the second person says no. And now they're down in the dumps. You nearly have to pick them up off the ground. They're so depressed. But the reality is, not everybody wants to buy from you. When I started one of my first companies, it was an online bookkeeping company. Myself and my wife, and her sisters were working in the company as well. So we're all trained in finance. And yes, I did train in finance. Sadly, that's where I started off my life doing accounts. But I learned my lesson and moved on. But my wife trained and her family as accountants. But when we launched the bookkeeping company, they didn't want to sell. They're not sellers. So I took the job on of going out knocking on doors and bringing the business in. So they do the books, I'll find the customers. The more doors I went to, the more people said yes. But here's the challenge. I started off the first few days going through maybe laundrettes, small shops, small supermarkets, pharmacies, all different types of little businesses, little carpentry shops, anywhere I could find. And the first day or two, I only did 1 or 2 calls. Why? Because people said no. And why would they say no? I was offering a great service at a great price. They must be all mad. But it suddenly dawned on me, yes, not everyone wants to buy from you. And that's one of the things I had to take on board. And even now, being a coach and being motivating and helping people, you have to realise not everyone wants what you sell. And not everybody wants what you're given. So once you can let that sink into yourself, you're ready to move on. But the whole idea of cold calling is that you're not going to be selling. This whole strategy we've devised for you, it's not about selling. It's about cold calling, hot prospecting, as a friend of mine, Fran, calls it. This is about going in there, knocking on doors and getting the information that you need. And the strategy we have developed to help you do that is a game. But we'll learn more about that in chapter 2. So, you now understand not everybody wants to buy from you. But let's talk about something else. As I mentioned, it's a numbers game. It really is a numbers game. Cold calling, selling, it's a pure numbers game. Don't let anybody else tell you any different. As I said, when I had a bookkeeping company, it was all about knocking at doors. It's amazing. The more phone calls you make, the more you get to talk to people, and the more chances someone will say yes. The more emails you send, the more handshakes. Do you know that the more times you talk to someone or make a pitch or make a phone call, the more sales you will make? If you call into 10 people, you may make one sale. But you know, if you call into 100 people, you might make 2, 3, 4, 5 sales. It's all about the numbers game. So in this whole course and in cold calling, the secret in cold calling is number one, don't be disappointed when someone says no to you. Don't be disappointed if someone doesn't want to talk to you. Let's face it, it's called cold calling. They weren't expecting you. So don't expect them to drop everything because you have walked in. You are not the most important person in their life. They don't need you to survive at the moment. They don't need you to continue their business. So you are not the most important thing. They're not going to drop everything for you. So just get into your head. They may say no, or they may say come back. So don't walk out of every building downhearted because someone has said, sorry, have no time to talk to you. And also remember, it's a complete numbers game. It's all about the volume. The more you do, the more chances something will come into a sale. Even when we're looking at when I'm developing a business or we're looking for investors, we don't just go to one. Remember when I had the online book, when I had my online DVD business, we spent a lot of time in London looking for investors. We didn't just go to one. We went to a half a dozen, and then we went to another half a dozen. Because you learn from the first lot the reasons they're saying no or what they're looking for. And when you go to the next lot, you've refined what you're talking about. You've refined your sales pitch. And that's why it's a numbers game. Not only will you get more customers, but you learn from it. You learn what you're doing wrong. You start to modify your approach. You start to modify what you talk about. You start to refine how you look, refine your spiel, refine your sales pitch. And as you move through more customers and do knock on more doors, you actually get slicker. You get better. You get cleaner. And you know what happens when you get cleaner and slicker and more professional? You start to close more sales. People listen to you more because you're not maybe stuttering. You're not looking worried. You're not sweating as you walk in. You're going in with a smile on your face. You're going in looking forward to the call. And when you do cold calling, you have to look forward to it. You have to look forward to the next knock on the door. Look forward to the next person you're going to talk to, because that's what it's all about. Now, what about the stress factor? Let's talk about the stress factor. Stress is a killer. I know reps, meeting someone new, going on a sales pitch, bang. I'll tell you a very simple story. When I worked on the car ferries when I first started, when I was 14 and 15 years old, I used to work on the car ferries in between Dublin and Holyhead for 3 months in the summer. I was working as a waiter for a couple of years and I was amazed how slick these waiters were. Every day they were putting on a show. Every day they were meeting new customers. But there's one or two, and one in particular, who was an expert. He had all the plates up his arm and he had plates on his head and he could carry anything. And he had the patter and he was the best person for getting tips. But he had major stress levels. And every time he came through the double doors, there was doors going back and forth, in and out, in and out. As he came out, a little gulp of whiskey. He kept the whiskey glass on the sideboard and he had a little gulp. That's what gave him the strength to move on. Funny, this chap didn't drink when he was off the ships. Only when he was in front of people. He had a problem with stress, and how he managed it was his little gulp of whiskey. By the end of the shift, he drank 2 or 3 of them, but he was still the slickest performer of all of us, even with the 2 or 3 whiskies. Now, I'm not saying you should drink whiskey, but you need to get rid of the stress. And the only way to get rid of the stress is I'm going to ask you to do one thing. Don't ask for a sale. You're not going selling. This is like going out to meet a group of people who you know. Maybe a school reunion. Maybe it's friends. Maybe you're just going to the supermarket, saying hello to 1 or 2 people who you know. Isn't it amazing how we can go to a school reunion, or maybe one of our children's plays or something like that, and walk into a group of people and chat away? No problem whatsoever. Then you suddenly go to a network event where you're meeting people cold and you're finding it hard to get out of the car. You're finding it hard to go through the doors. Your hands are getting sweaty. You're getting nervous. You're finding it hard even talking to people, and who will I talk to first? Do I know him? Will I be standing there on my own drinking coffee? Will I look stupid? How come that doesn't happen when you go to school reunions or a meeting, a PTA meeting or something like that? I tell you why. Because when you go to a PTA meeting or a school reunion or just meeting a group of friends, you're not asking any of them to buy off you. When you go to network events and you go out to cold calling, and network events are cold calling, you're already stressed out because you're thinking of how to sell to someone. So one of the key things in cold calling, in this strategy that we've developed for you, is you're not selling. Okay? You're not selling. Get the sales talk out of your head. We're going out information gathering. We're getting the information we need from people who may buy off us in the future. So let's start from where we mean to go. You're not selling. Reduce the stress levels. I know I've said a few times, but that's important. What I'm asking you to do when we come to chapter 2, and I'm going to ask you to play the game doesn't involve selling. Because the strategy we're going to give you is going to help you. When I've done cold calling, my first few cold calls, when I had the bookkeeping business, I found it hard to get out of the car. I found it hard to walk into places. And even now, sometimes going to certain meetings, I might find it hard and me worrying what I'm going to say. And I have to say to myself, okay, forget about it. We're not going in to sell. We're just going in to talk to this chap and see what he needs. Let's have a chat with him. When I change my focus on what the meeting is about, I change my stress levels and I change how I'm going to feel. So that's what this is all about. So, 3 key things. It's a numbers game. Okay? Number 1. Number 2, not everyone's going to buy from you. You're not the Queen of England. You're not the Prince of Wales. You're not Obama. They won't all want to buy from you. Just get that through your head. And number 3, you're not going out to sell. Okay? That's important. You're not going out to sell. So if you remember those 3 things from this chapter, then you've learned something that's going to change your whole day and may change the way you sell and the way you cold call in future. So just a reminder, make sure you have your notebook. You've been taking notes. You have the half-hour free mentoring call with me. At any time, you can wait till the end of this course. You can ring me now if you want. All the details will be at the end of the course, how to get into contact with me. But take the notes so that when we talk, it's a productive telephone conversation. Okay? Thanks for listening to chapter 1, and we move on to chapter 2 now. Hi. Welcome to chapter 2 of Cold Calling Made Easy. I'm Mark Beggs from Right Frame Academy and Europe's #1 success and motivating coach. Can we just say one thing? Let the games begin. This is when it starts to get exciting, okay? I'm going to tell you a little story before I tell you what our strategy is for this whole thing, of where the concept came for the game that we call cold calling. And it was very simple. Around 1995, I had this sales director working for me. And he told me this great story about when he was younger. He used to work for this company that did photocopiers and fax machines. And some of the fax, for the younger audience, you might not know what a fax machine is. We used to send things through paper to other offices. It wasn't all by email. But we used to do fax machines and photocopiers. The company he used to work for, the sales director of that company never believed what his salespeople were up to. So every week he used to send them out, especially all the new reps. He used to send them out to industrial parks or industrial estates and other companies to go knocking on doors to find out what other companies had on the premises. What type of machine they had. What type of fax machine did they have? Was it new or old model? Who did they buy it from? Was it on lease? Could they get a foot in the door? That type of stuff. But he didn't believe all his salespeople were doing that. He didn't trust them. So what did he do? Very simple. He said, every sales rep must bring back a business card from every company they were at. And this was his way of making sure his sales reps were working for him. Very clever. But even more clever, what he did was then, he took a few of the cards and rang the companies to double check. Hi, was my sales rep Tom with you today? Brilliant, thanks a lot, bye. So he didn't trust his people. He didn't trust that they were all going to make calls. And he used to say to them, I want 10 calls today, or 50 calls, or 100 calls. And unless you brought back the business cards, he didn't believe you. And if he didn't believe you, there was a chance you were kicked out the door because you weren't performing. So when I was told this story, I said, God, that's a great way for cold calling. That's a great strategy. Why don't we make it into a game? And I've been using it as a game for the last good number of years with companies that I've been into, sales forces that I've taught, individuals, entrepreneurs, people who start their own companies. This is a type of approach I've taught them. If I had been doing this when I was younger, I reckon I would have signed up more companies for my bookkeeping company and even for other companies that I ran or worked for. So that's why I say let the games begin. Because the game we're going to play is very simple. It's how many business cards can you collect? That's what cold calling is all about. Collecting business cards. We've all collected things. Football cards, baseball cards, action men, Barbie dolls, whatever. We're all collected things as kids. We may all still collect things now as adults. Pens, all different types of things. We're all into stuff, stamps, whatever. We all collect things. This is no different. What I'm asking you to do now is to play the game with me of collecting the business cards. But before I take you through step by step in chapter 3, how you're going to approach a company, from the minute you arrive in the car or on the bus to the minute you knock on that door, and what to say. Let's go through some of the basic tools you will have to have before you walk in someone's door. Before you start collecting business cards, there's some basic things you need to have. Okay, let's talk about your tools. Right, let's talk about the key tools you need before you leave that car, before you walk up to someone's door. And one of the first things is a folder. You know the worst thing I hate? I hate people who come to meet me with a briefcase overflowing with documents, carrying bits underneath their arms and things falling on the ground. And they're only coming up to talk to me or to try and sell me something. It looks so unprofessional. So the first thing you need is a simple, decent folder. And here's the things you're going to have in that folder. Business cards. Not the ones you're collecting. Your own. You know, I've gone to meetings. I've gone out on sales calls with people. And they're looking through their jackets and their trousers and their wallet. And I'm saying, what are you looking for? Oh, one of my business cards. They can't find them. Their calling card. The card that says who they are. The card that has their name on it. Has their phone number on it. Their fax machine number. Their email address. Their mobile number. They can't find it. They might as well stand outside someone's window and wave in and say, hi, I'm here. I've forgotten all my business cards. I'll come back next week. So before you go cold calling, carry business cards. You should always have about 100 business cards at least in your car or in your case and a few in your wallet. When you go out in your suit, when I wear my suit going out, I always have business cards in my inside pocket. Always. I always check before I go out, and actually I don't have to check really anymore because on my suits automatically, every suit I wear, I have business cards inside it. So carry a business card. They're very cheap. You go into any online printing company, you get 100 business cards for a few pounds or a few dollars. So do yourself a favour, have your business card. Have it where you can get it. In your folder, ready to pull out. Not walking up to a door, knocking on it, and it look like you're having a fit, or you got itchy all of a sudden, and you're looking all over your body for your business card. Have it ready. Number 2, pen and notepad. It might sound stupid, but again, you need the pen and notepad. Now I know some of you will want to use iPads and iPhones and smartphones. Fair enough. But I have a slight issue with somebody using an iPad or an iPhone when they walk up to me and someone says, how you doing? Could I get your business card or get some information off you? And you go, well, actually, I don't have one. I'll give you my name and number, my email address. Just drop me in your details. And then there's this silence as they click on the iPad. They go through the menu to look for the notepad. And then they go through all this and then suddenly go, okay, what's your number? I don't have time for that. And most people, when you're going cold calling, it's hard enough to get them to give you the information because they weren't expecting you to call. Now you're asking them to hold on while you power up your machine. And what about your screensaver? Is a screensaver of something that maybe to other people might be a bit inappropriate? Maybe you're on the beach, running away, in your swimming togs or in your bikini, whatever. So the iPad and the iPhone are brilliant for certain things. I still think the old-fashioned notebook, you take it out, write someone's name and number down within 2 or 3 seconds, it's done, off you go, back to the car, and then you can put it into your iPad or iPhone or whatever, or smartphone or whatever you use. Pen and notepad, important. And the next thing is, you need an information sheet. You don't need a brochure. You don't need the Bible. I'm talking about a 1-page A4 2-sided information sheet about your company. Keep it simple. You're calling in the people who weren't expecting you. You're calling in to introduce yourself. You're not calling in to sell. So on this A4 page, you're going to have the name of your company. You're going to have maybe 1 or 2 bits of information about maybe 1 or 2 products. Maybe you have a key product this month you want to push, or a key service. Have that on the front, explained what it is. Okay, that's important. And maybe the price. I wouldn't recommend putting the price on anything when you're doing a cold calling, because you're only out on a fishing expedition at the moment. On the other side of the A4 sheet, your name, your address, your email address, and your website. I don't like getting information sheets where I can't figure out where the company's based, I can't find the phone number, I can't find the email address, and I can't find the web address. Have the information clear and where you can find it. Also, make sure if someone's looking at this A4 sheet, that very quickly, they know who you are, they know what you do, and they know where you're based. That's half the battle. If you've been in business for 50 years, say it on the leaflet. It's a major selling point. 50 years, 10 years, 12 years, say how long you've been in business, but you're only a new company. That's another plus. Say you're new with new ideas, new concept. If you're a family business, say you're a family business. Whether you're new or old, you can always find value in how long you've been in business. So use it. Use this A4 because you're going to leave that with somebody. Make sure when you walk away from having talked to them for 2 or 3 or 4 or 5 minutes, that from this sheet, they will understand who you are and what you're all about. That's important. Okay? And the last thing, dress to impress. Look the part. I may not be wearing a tie at the moment, but when I was younger and every single call I ever made, I always wore a suit and tie. And when I say a suit and tie, I don't mean a suit and the shirt's half over, the top button's open and you look, wear a shirt that fits you. Ladies, always look the part as well. Dress to impress. Whether you're wearing a suit, ladies, or you're wearing a dress, make sure everything looks well. Because you're calling in the people for the first time. As you walk up that path towards the company, somebody may see you. They may make a judgment call on who you are or what you're doing or what you're about as you approach the door. So the better looking you are, not only will you look more confident, you'll feel more confident. You'll feel confident walking up to that door because you look the part, because you're dressed to impress. And they'll want to talk to you because you'll look confident. Isn't it amazing how many people want to talk to successful people? And yet the same successful person, maybe a year beforehand or 2 years beforehand, couldn't get other people to talk to them. Suddenly, they look the part, whether it's because they made a name for themselves or made some money, whatever. But when people are successful or look successful, other people want to talk to them. They want to see what is their secret. What are they doing that's different than I'm doing? Or who are they? What are they all about? They're already asking questions as you approach. So dress to impress. If you do that, half the battle's won. So remember, folder, pen, notepad, business cards. Okay? Business cards. Your own business cards. That's important. And dress to impress. So if we can have all those things, they're your key tools. It's not a lot. They're your key tools that's going to help you make cold calling very easy. And if you get them right and you look the part, we're halfway there. Okay, in chapter 3, we're going to play the game. We're going to go through the steps and how the game is played. I'm going to tell you how to get out of the car. I'm going to tell you what to say when you hit the door. I'm going to tell you what to do when you leave that building. And how the whole approach will make you very successful. So just to recap, what's the key thing we said in chapter 1? It's a numbers game. Right? This is a numbers game. Number 2, we're not selling. We're not selling. We're going up, getting some information. That's key. Also, the right tools. Make sure you have the right tools. That's another key factor. Okay? So you remember those things and just keep them on board and keep them in your head. As you go on to chapter 3, you'll see how they all come into play. And as I reminded you in chapter 1, with this course comes a 30-minute free mentoring call with me. A lot of people pay a lot of money to talk to me and have them come in and talk to their companies and explain how to sell and how to sell better. You're going to have a 30-minute free call with me. You can have it now, at the end of chapter 2. You can have it at the end of chapter 3 or chapter 4. You can wait till the whole course is done. You can wait for a few days, maybe mull things over in your head. It's up to you. We'll give you the details at the end on how you can contact me to schedule that call. But be taking notes now. Make the call with me effective and productive for yourself, because there's value in the call. And make sure the questions you want asked will add value to you. Maybe you're not sure about something. Maybe when we get to chapter 3, you're not sure how to approach a door or what to say. Or maybe you've been doing it for a week and it's not working as good as you hoped. So you want to recap it with me and maybe we may change 1 or 2 things. So let's make that half-hour call work. Okay, thanks so much for listening to chapter 2. In chapter 3, we're going to really play the game. We're going to go cold calling. We're going to go out there and start making money and making doors open for us. Hi, welcome to chapter 3 of Cold Calling Made Easy. I'm Mark Beggs from Right Frame Academy and Europe's #1 success and motivating coach. So that's chapter 3. The games have begun. We're ready to hit the first door. And you're probably still thinking about selling. And what's the key thing I told you? We're not going out to sell today. Selling has nothing to do with cold calling. We're going out prospecting. We're going out knocking on doors, looking for information. So relax. The first key thing you need to figure out is your target area. Find an area you're going to go to. Ideally, somewhere where you can park the car and you're going to start walking around an estate. So we may have an industrial estate. So let's assume today you're in stationery. That's what we're going to do. Like, remember the real sellers of the past, the double glazed men. These are the men who parked at the beginning of a housing estate and went door to door. They had their folder, they had their briefcase, they had their samples, they had all their information, and off they went, door to door to door to door, knocking on things, trying to sell their wares. You're today a double glazed man. That's your job. You're either a double glazed man or a double glazed woman. That's your job now today. Okay? But you're not selling double glazing. Let's assume, as I said, you're selling stationery or whatever your product is. The first key thing that you need to figure out, as I said, is your target area. So let's pick somewhere that suits you. Somewhere maybe an industrial park or maybe a shopping centre, somewhere where you're going to park and off you go to start knocking on the doors. So when you've decided to pick your area, and it's easy done, let's face it, with the internet nowadays, you can easily look at shopping centres to see where there's a cluster of all the clients that may suit you. Now, some businesses you may have to get in the car and move to the next stop and the next stop, but let's assume you're in the one area. Before we get out of the car, before we move, let's just do a quick check. Do you have your business cards? Do you have your business card ready and easy to hand out to? Do you have your information sheet? There's some people staple their business card to the top of their information sheet. There's nothing wrong with that. I don't like it. I like the approach of giving the card first. Because let's face it, on the information sheet, as I said, you already have all the information about yourself that's on the card. So you're giving the people who you're talking to the information twice, which is a good idea. And hopefully now you have a nice, well laid out information sheet as I explained. This is something you're going to leave behind. So I said to you before, make sure it looks the part. Make sure it explains your company and make sure this one page, double-sided information sheet does your company justice and more importantly, does you justice. Okay? So you have your pen, you have your note paper. I assume you're dressed to impress. I assume you look the part. I assume you feel $1 million and that you feel relaxed. Okay. Now, here's how it's going to work. And here's how it always works. When you walk up to the first door, or the first business you walk in, most times the first person you're going to see is the receptionist. And him or her is going to ask you who you are. So always introduce yourself with a smile, explaining who you are. Hi, I'm Mark Beggs from Right Frame Academy. Sorry for just dropping by. I'm in the area today, just giving out some information about myself and my company. We do stationery. And I just wanted to speak to everyone who's in charge, maybe the person of the stationery, just for 2 or 3 minutes to leave them my information so that they have a full idea of who we are all about. That's the type of approach you're going to make. Nice and casual. Did you hear me say selling? No, didn't mention the word selling. I said I was in the area and I wanted to leave the information with them. I didn't mention selling. Right? Now, when you ask for the person who's maybe purchased, who's in charge of person, if the receptionist says, well, they're not here, sorry, or they're in a meeting, they weren't expecting you, that's no problem. I do appreciate that. That's no problem. I was dropping in on a spec, so I know they weren't expecting me. So I'll tell you what I'll do. Do you mind I'll leave my card and my information sheet? So maybe I can drop back next week or next time I'm in the area. I'll give them a shout on the phone. Most receptionists will say yes. Unless they've taken a complete dislike to you, they're going to say yes. Why? Because they want to get you out of their office. It's as simple as that. So when you hand over the information pack, your business card and your fact sheet, what's your next question? You're going to have your notebook out and you're going to say, now do you mind, can I just take his name and number or email address so that I can just give him a buzz during the week? It's as simple as that. And most of them say, oh yeah, it's John Smith and his email address is johnsmith@iwillhelpyou.academy. It's as simple as that. Okay? So if the person is not there, all is not lost. It's still doable. You've still walked away with the one thing you wanted. And what was the one thing you wanted? The business card. That business card from that company is going to give you so much information about that company. So much information. Even though you've talked to only the receptionist, you have the key person's name who will do the purchasing or looks after buying the service that you're selling. Now, what happens if the person is there? More than likely, they're going to say, sorry, where are you from again? Oh yeah, give the receptionist your card. So when she's calling on the phone internally to ask that person to come out to see you, they have your information. They don't have to remember it. Oh yeah, it's Mark Beggs from Right Frame Academy. He was just dropping by the area. He just wanted to leave in an information pack for you. Brilliant, okay. When this person comes out, let's call him John Smith. It's the same thing. You're going to approach John, hand out. Always have the hand out. John, how you doing? Mark Beggs from Right Frame Academy. Sorry for disturbing you. I'm just in the area and I just wanted to drop in my business card and information pack sheet about my company. and the products we do. I hope that's okay. And as you're talking, you've taken your hand back, you're handing over your card, and you're taking your information sheet out of your folder. So John doesn't really have a time to react. He's taken your business card, he's taken your information sheet. You haven't asked him to buy anything. Remember, I haven't said don't buy anything. So when John's done that, you're going to say now, John, I know you're very busy. I do appreciate it. So I won't keep you. I just wanted to hand these things in. Would you have a business card? So maybe down the road, or maybe in a week's time or 2 weeks' time, I can give you a buzz and come back and talk to you. Most times, the Johns of this world will give you the business card, or will say, actually, I left it in the office. Again, the notepad. Don't worry about that, John. It's John. What's your surname, John? And will it get you that email address? Okay, email address. Bye. Perfect, John. I really appreciate that. Thank you very much for your time. We haven't tried to sell. Have we sold? No, we haven't sold. We've given them nothing. We haven't sold anything to them. And that was the key thing in this whole exercise. You've left the car. You've walked up. You've introduced yourself. We haven't sold. Do not try and sell. But what have you done? What's the sign at the end of every computer game? If you play computer games, game over. You've won. You've walked in there with the sole purpose of getting that chap or that lady's business card and delivering your business card and your one-page information sheet. You haven't tried and sell them anything. You just delivered your information, which is exactly what I wanted you to do. I didn't want you to sell. And once you do that once or twice or 3 or 4 or 5 or 6 times, you're laughing. Now, one of the key things about today and playing this game, you need to set yourself a target. Decide at the beginning of the day how many business cards you're going to get. Now, I didn't want you just to collect one. I want you to set a reasonable target. Maybe 20, maybe 30, maybe 40. So to win the game, to really win the game today, you need to set the target and reach that target. And reaching 20 or 30, it's not that hard. Once you get the confidence of doing 1, 2, 3, 4 and 5 correctly, without the stress, without the sweat in the brow, without the palms being wet, and being relaxed, you will stand straighter, you will look straighter, and you will feel more confident walking up to someone. So it's all about the approach. And it's all about what cold calling is all about. Hot prospecting. You're gathering information from someone to use at a later date to sell your product to them. It's as simple as that. Now, if you want to go for bonus points, we'll talk about bonus points in chapter 3. All games have bonus points. All games have a way of getting more points to win the game. Getting the business card, yeah, you've won the game, but how would you really like to win the game? How would you really like to get the bonus points to make you really, really good at what you do? How would you like to make the cold calling into a double whammy? Not just getting the business card, but getting something else from it. And in chapter 4, we're going to talk about the bonus points. How we can get the bonus points. So just to recap, before you go in, set the target for the day. How many business cards you're going to collect? 1? No, anyone can do 1. 20, 30, make it realistic. But also make it stretchable. Work for it. Because the more you do today, the more you do tomorrow, the better you're going to get at cold calling. That's what it's all about. Pick the area you're going to do. Make sure it's an area that you know. Make sure that all the businesses are in the area. If you have to drive from each one, so be it. Be ready to do that. Make sure you have your key tools. Make sure you have your business cards. Make sure you have your pen, your notepad, and make sure you're dressed to impress. And when you walk into a company, the minute you open that door, the minute you walk up the path, start smiling. You're happy. Do you know why you're happy? Because the meeting has already been successful. You've already done what you set out to do. Have that in your head. The minute you get out the car, you've won. You've done what you've set out to do. You've got the business card. Even before you hit that door, visualize it. You've done it. You're very good at what you do. You're an expert at what you do. If you do enough cold calling, you will become fantastic. You will start to have what the old sales reps of the past have. The patter, the banter, the spiel, call it what you will. They had it because they were real salespeople. There's an awful lot of salespeople in the world today who are only order takers. They call themselves salespeople, but they're selling something everybody wants. People doing Apple iPhones, they're not salespeople, they're order takers because we want to buy the Apple iPhone or we want to buy the car that's now the car of the month. They're not salespeople, they're order takers. What you are going to become is a salesperson, a real salesperson who grows sales from nothing, from knocking on doors you've never knocked on before and turning that into a business and into sales and into a career. And that's what cold calling is all about. As I said in the introduction and in every chapter, just to remind you, at the end of this, at the end of chapter 1 or 2 or 3 or 4, you have a 30-minute free mentoring call with me. And at the end of the book, at the end of this video, we'll give you the information how to do that. So make sure you're taking the notes and make sure you're listening to the chapters once or twice again. As I said, the way we've designed this whole thing is that you can play it back on your iPhone or your iPad before you go into a meeting. So before you get out of the car for your next cold call, listen to chapter 3 again. Just remind yourself the mindset to be in going in. Just remind yourself of maybe the few steps you want to take, that you're not selling. You're putting out the hand. You have the smile in the face. Have the business card ready. Have your information sheet. It's a few simple things that when you start doing it, it'll just become the norm and you just get very good at what you do. So chapter 4 is all about the bonus points. But you need to be really good to be up for the bonus points. And the question is, how good are you to be able to read chapter 4 and listen to her and get the bonus points? Okay, talk to you very shortly. Welcome to chapter 4 of Cold Calling Made Easy. Hi, I'm Mark Beggs from Right Frame Academy and here I was #1 success and mentoring coach. Right, we played the game. You've won. You've got the business card. You've done what you set out to do. You're now cold calling. But here's what I said at the end of chapter 3. The bonus points. Every game has bonus points. How would you like some bonus points? And here's how you get bonus points. As you get more comfortable doing cold calling, you can actually slightly make it into a sales call, a soft sale call. And here's how I do this. When I go up to someone, I have 2 choices. I can say, how you doing? I'm Mark Beggs from Right Frame Academy. I just want to leave you some information about myself and my company, if you don't mind. Hope that's okay. Brilliant. I hand it over and say, do you mind if I take your details so we can keep in contact and I keep you abreast of what's happening with the company and what we do? Brilliant. Appreciate that. Thank you very much. I've now left the room, left the building, and Elvis has moved on. Okay? I've got the information I wanted. But I can take it a step more. And how do I do that? Very simple. I'm doing the same thing. Hi, I'm Mark Beggs from Right Frame Academy. I just want to leave you some information about our product and what we do. And the person will take my information. I know the time doesn't suit because I just was in the area. So my apologies for coming in just unannounced. So I can come back to you at another time that suits you. Actually, would next week or the week after suit you? Is there a particular day that maybe I could suit, maybe to give you a phone call or drop into you and just explain in more detail what we do? Now, some of them will go, no, not really, no, we're not really into that at the moment. Perfect, absolutely no problem. If you are, you have my details, keep in touch, and anytime you want, just give me a buzz. First of all, when you leave that building, you know the person isn't interested at the moment, so you can mark it on your folder, call back maybe in 2 or 3 months. However, some people will turn around and say, oh yeah, actually I was thinking about doing mentoring and coaching. Yeah, maybe if you come back in a few weeks' time. When somebody offers you to come back, that's the opening line for you to pounce. You simply say, right, okay, that's brilliant. When were you thinking? Would maybe Monday 2 weeks suit you, or next Monday? Or, well, do you want to pick a day? Maybe in 2 weeks' time. You can actually take a diary out and try and pin someone down. And the more comfortable you get with your presentation and more confident you get in how you approach people and how you talk to people, you will do that. Most people I mentor and coach never ever leave a meeting without getting a time or a date or a referral. I have people who go out selling and somebody might say, no, actually, this isn't for me. No problem whatsoever. Thanks very much for your time. Actually, would you know anybody else that this might suit? And they might say, well, Jenny Mackers, I do actually. So part of the coaching and mentoring is getting people more confident in what they're doing, more confident with their style, because we all have different styles. So we're going for bonus points. The more doors you hit, you will get confident. And the first time you do it, doing the soft sell, it won't work. You'll say it the wrong way. Most of us do. We all have. Some of us still say it the wrong way. But as you get slicker, as you hand over the business card, you can just simply add, would something like this suit you maybe in the future, or would it suit you if I called you back in a week or 2 weeks on the phone, maybe when you had more time? Because I know you weren't expecting me, and I appreciate that completely. Most people, when you first of all apologise for taking up the time, and you apologise for coming unannounced, will now see you in a different light. You're not a pain for having interrupted them, because you've apologised for that fact. So if you want to go for the bonus points, you can go for the soft sell. Going for the soft sell is trying to make a date for the next meeting. Trying to tie the person down for you to go in and do what you're good at, which is a sales pitch. And doing a sales pitch is a whole new area, because I've gone to so many sales pitches. Some of them are pure rubbish, other ones I've bought from. Okay, but that's a whole different course in itself, doing the sales pitch. So it's up to you whether you want to go for the bonus points. If you're happy just winning the game and getting the business card, that's a major plus. At the end of this course now, you should be confident of walking into a place. You should be confident on how to approach someone and how to knock on the door and how to hand over the card and walk away, right? That's important, because up to now you have not been selling. If you want to go for the bonus point, go for the bonus point, go for the soft sell, and just ask for the meeting. Or even simply ask, if you're selling stationery, actually, who looks after your stationery? Who do you buy from at the moment? Oh, damn, very good company, okay. Never knock another company. If they tell you that bit of information, never knock a competitor. You're not in that game. You're way above that. You're too professional to do that, okay? Never do that. So if you come along and someone says, yeah, A, B and C supply us. Oh, they're a good company, fantastic. Well, if you'd like us to quote the next bit of business, you have my details there. Will you be looking for quotes soon, or are you going to tender soon for that bit of business? Oh, really? Another 2 months? Do you mind if I come in before that, even to chat about you and see what needs you have and what we would need to do to win the business, or what you would expect from us? So you're asking questions that will help them, because the whole approach you're taking in the soft sell is you're there to benefit them. You're there to help them. What you can do will help them do their job better. And that's what it's all about. So I hope this has helped you. In the next chapter, which is basically we're going to sum up what we've done, I'll give you all the details on how to contact me for your free half hour of phone mentoring. The phone mentoring is very important, because you're going to have questions. Not every online course covers everything. So you may have some questions. You may decide to go out now and do cold calling today, tomorrow, do your 10 or 20 or 30 calls. Sit back and say, well, okay, why could I, my closing rate isn't that high, or too many people said no, they don't want to talk to me. Why is that happening? And then you come on the phone with me and we discuss your approach and what you've done, and maybe see what we can do to change certain elements of that to make it work. Or you may have other questions you want to ask me. But write them down, have them ready, make the phone call productive. That's important. Okay, I'll talk to you very shortly in the summary, and we just wrap this whole course up. Thank you. Hi, welcome to the summary of Cold Calling Made Easy. I'm Mark Beggs from Right Frame Academy, Europe's #1 success and motivating coach. We've covered all areas now of cold calling, and I'm hoping that you're more confident in to get out there and do it. Like some of the key things we've covered is that Not everyone wants to buy from you. And you need to remember that. Not everyone wants to buy from you. Number two, it's a numbers game. It really is a numbers game. The more doors you hit, the more people will buy off you. Remember the door-to-door salesmen, the double glazing men, the men that sold the mops and brushes. It was all a numbers game to them. The more doors you hit, the more times they will sell something. But also the more doors you hit, the more confidence you get and the more successful you get. And also your spiel and the way you approach people gets better. And let's reduce the stress. Cold calling is not about selling. We're not going out there to sell. We're going out there to get information. We're prospecting. We're like the old men who used to go gold digging with a pickaxe, only you're using your pen and note paper and your business card. So reduce the stress. You're not going cold. You're not going selling. What else do we say? Make sure you have the right tools. Your folder, and make sure it's a folder that closes. Don't have a folder overloaded with stuff that can't close and is bulky because you have too much in it. Be neat, be tidy. Have your own business cards. Make sure you have enough with you. Make sure it's easy to reach. Out it comes. Your one page, your A4 information fact sheet on both sides. Well designed, looks the part, does you and your company justice. And make sure you're dressed to impress. Make sure you look the part. Make sure you look successful. Because people want to deal with people who look good, who are successful and look the part. People want to deal with people who are the complete package. Because when they deal with you, it rubs off on them. Everyone wants to be successful. If you know what you're talking about and you come across as successful, other people will want to deal with you. It's as simple as that. What else do we say? Pick your target. To win the game, decide how many cold calls you're going to make today. 10, 20, 30. Sell a number. And don't cheat. You're only cheating yourself. Set the number, go for it. So what if someone doesn't want to give you your business card? It's their loss, it's not yours. So what? Go for it. Set your target and aim for it. Pick your area. Make sure it's an area where there is customers that will actually buy your product, that you're in the right area. And as I said, you're not selling. You're not selling, get it out of your head. You're going in there to get their business card. And what else do we say? When you approach the door, hand out, smile. Introduce yourself. Be confident. Hi, I'm Mark Beggs from Right Frame Academy. I'm just dropping by. I'm in the area. Sorry for disturbing you. I just wanted to give you some information about our company, our information sheet and our business card. Hope that's okay. My apologies. Didn't mean to disturb you. Would you have your business card and maybe we can keep in contact and I can drop you back some information. It's as simple as that. Get the patter right. Get the spiel right. Be confident in what you're saying. And if you want to go for the bonus point, if you have it in you, go to the next stage. Say to someone, would you like me to drop back at another time that might suit you? When would that suit? How about next week? Does next Monday suit? What time would suit you? Pin them down. Go for the soft sell. Or simply say, well, who's your supplier? Who supplies you that stationery? Oh, really? That's a great company. Never knock someone else's company. You don't want your company knocked? Don't be disrespectful. Don't knock the competition. There's no point. Win on merit. Win on service. Win on price. Don't knock the competition. So when you find out who it is, oh, really? They're a great company. When are you going out to tender again? Or when are you going out for a new quote? Would you mind to come in and maybe have a quick chat with you at a day at a time that suits you, see what your needs are, and maybe see is there any way we could win that business off you, and maybe compete on price or service or quality on what they're doing. That's the soft sell. The sales pitch is when you come back in to meet them. And getting the sales pitch right is very important. But that's a different course for a different day. So you should be confident in cold calling now and what you're doing. You should be confident in going for the bonus points. And I'm hoping that you're going to be more successful in what you're doing now. I've taught this course to a lot of people over the years and to a lot of salespeople and a lot of groups of people. And they've all benefited and they've all prospered and they've all become extremely good at what they do. And they all have become very confident. Because the more doors you hit, the more confidence you get. And I would hope that someday you're going to hit my door and you're going to give me your business card or your information sheet. And as you walk out that door, and I think to myself, God, that person is really professional. That was really well done. That they're going to turn around and say, that's because I did one of your courses. That's what it's all about. Now, as we said in this course, you should have also now got your free ebook and downloaded your free ebook that comes with this course. If you haven't, just email me at markbeggs@rightframeacademy.com. At the end of this video, you get details how to contact me for your free half-hour phone mentoring. Now, the phone mentoring is very important. I charge a lot of money for my mentoring courses and for talking to people one-to-one. So my time is valuable. We'll be sticking to the half hour. You'll hear the bell, ding ding, and I'm gone. I'm sorry, but my time is precious. So make sure when you're going to call me that you have the questions you want answered. Decide what you want from the phone call before you even call me, so that it makes it productive for you and for me, and that you get value out of that half hour. That's important. So let's do that. So at the end, as I said, the email address will come up and information on how to actually book that call. But also, you can visit our YouTube channel. We've loads more videos up there on everything from motivation to goal setting, to how to manage your cash flow, picking web names, even on depression. That may help you and your business and your life to be more and to be better. And we have other courses coming on stream that may help you in your business. But if you have an idea for a course or you want us to help you in some way, feel free to contact us and maybe we can design a course for you. Just email me at mark@rightframeacademy.com and we'll see what we can do to help you become more. Once again, thank you very much for your time. I do appreciate it and for buying this course. I'm Mark Beggs from Right Frame Academy. Thank you.